Hello, welcome to another episode of New Media Tech. And as the summer's starting to slow down, actually today was the first day of school here in Maryland, at least in the Frederick County area. I don't know if it's all of Maryland or not, but it seems very funny that this early in August, the schools are going back. I remember when I grew up that the schools didn't go back in until after Labor Day, typically the Monday or Tuesday after Labor Day. So we always spent the last 2 weeks of August on vacation for the most part, away before we came back. And just very weird. Here it is. What's today? The 19th of August. And those kids are going back in school already. So things have really changed since we were in school. In fact, they even go to school longer. So I don't know how that all works out. But anyways, it's New Media Tech. It's Monday night. And this week is a little free-flowy because there's a bunch of little things going on. I'm going to show you some projects I've been working on. And actually, if you're watching live, if you hang out after this show, at 9 o'clock, we will go to Let's Make It. I'm going to show you this a little bit more in detail. But as I mentioned before, I'm trying to make a hardware switcher that it works with across multiple different software and hardware switching solutions. So I've been developing some hardware, and I've been learning how to surface mount using a reflow, and it's coming along. Well, I'm going to show you kind of where I am. I do have things kind of working. I currently can control an ATEM, and I also can control vMix, which is software-based switching. And I'm getting ready to start figuring out how I'm going to control Wirecast, which is what I use. I use an ATEM and Wirecast together, and I want to make this so it can work with both. So that is my ultimate goal to get to that point. But let me show you what I have here. So what you have right here is an Arduino up here. It's an Arduino Mega, and then this breadboard is just my bus. So I can take one pin out of the Arduino and spread it across 3 different boards. So it's not really doing anything. There's no logic here, just tying everything together. And then these are boards. They're a little flexible, but not as flexible. I may redesign some of the stuff to be a tad bit more flexible, but this can do a 2x4, or it can rearrange to a 2x1, which is how I have it configured. And here is the same board configured slightly differently. And all you see right now is it's going through all different colors. The buttons are 2-color, and they can be mixed. Right now I'm just doing red and green. Those are the 2 primary colors that it has, but I can change any color I want, so I can make that flexible. But the buttons are nice feel buttons, stuff like that. So, and this board over here is another one that I had some problems with that I fixed last night. I just haven't put any buttons on it yet. I'll probably do that tonight after the shows are over and add a button. This will actually be an 8-button row, and I have a new board I'm designing. It is a 2x8, which is probably going to be what I use for the production switcher, so that I have a 2-row on one board. So I have the software controlling an ATEM. These buttons right now are just in test mode, so I can make sure that everything was working right. These being the first boards that ever surface mount anything, I wanted to make sure that they were tested out and working fine. And they are working fine. So luckily, the big board I had a little problem with, and it just happened to be I had to go through and reheat a couple of solder joints on the one chip, and it was fine. And then I have a couple other boards I put together, but I haven't put any buttons on them yet either, and I haven't tested them yet either. So that's all stuff still upcoming. So it's taking a lot of my time. I'm at the point now where I'm starting to take all these pieces from different places and assemble them into one big program on the Arduino. So I've tested all the little pieces individually, and now it's time to make something a little bit bigger out of it. So maybe in the next week or so, I'll be able to show you. I actually have a case I'm going to put it into. So when I get these boards all put together, I have something I can put in to start testing with, something more physical than just having these boards sitting here on the table. I just kind of wanted to show you where I was with that. So we've talked in the past about hardware versus software. And as I mentioned just a little bit ago, and I think I mentioned this in previous shows, I am a combination. I run both an ATEM, which is how I ran everything for a long time, and I did all my lower thirds in post-production, which let me just say is very, very time consuming. So I do not do that. Well, I still record it bare, mainly as a backup, but what you are watching, if everything worked okay, it's actually a recording out of Wirecast, and the lower thirds were already in Wirecast. So I don't have to go through in post and go in and put all the lower thirds in. I can do that all live. In fact, if you're watching this live, here I can show you, I can go right to my lower third, just like that. And I can take it out just like that while I'm sitting here. So it just makes it much easier in post. It takes a lot less time. I am going to continue probably to do the pre and the post videos in post, just because I changed them around enough that I would have to render it every time I did a show for a new intro, and the intros aren't as smooth as I'd like them to be. I'm still working on it, so I may end up doing that ultimately, because the nice thing would be is if I could just hit record before I start and hit stop when I'm done and just upload that. But right now it requires me to copy it over and render it out, which is not a big deal. It takes me like less than 5 minutes now because all the lower thirds are already in there, where before it's taking me an hour or so. So I can pretty much take over a template, copy it into the new episode number, drag in the video, just move the end video down, and go and be done with it. Much quicker than it's been in the past. So it is definitely easier. But because I'm in this hybrid, I want a switcher that can do a physical switcher, physical control surface that can work with both. And up to this point, well, up to now, I don't know if anybody has this. I'm doing it because of some software that I wrote on the Mac and interfacing with these Korg, the NanoPad and the Nano Control, to interface with both at the same time. So that's kind of where I'm going with this control. I don't want to have to use some kind of middle interface like this. I want to use something that's very comfortable and easy to understand, because I can't tell you for sure where my fingers are. I do have tape. I can't always show you an overhead of this, but I do have tape down here, so I can kind of tell what thing my fingers are on when my fingers are down here. So I don't look down very often, but sometimes I lose my position, and you'll see me look down, and that's why I'm looking down, is to make sure where I am. In this show, since I don't have a co-host yet, which I'm going to go into in a second, because I'm still looking for a co-host for this show. So if you know anybody's interested, or if you'd like to I like to interview people that have podcasts as well on the show, and just get some of your experiences, whether it be an audio or audio video, whatever. I mean, any kind of podcast I'd like to interview. So let me know to send an email to newmediatech@tech-zen.tv if you're interested in participating. I'd love to have you. So anyways, since right now I'm the only one on this show, I don't go to these other camera shots very much, so I don't gotta really do anything except for a lower thirds. And I did just go to the camera shot for the overhead, but that's real easy back and forth, so it doesn't really take a lot to lose your fingers. I mean, you don't have to do a lot of switching back and forth. But like on the next show, we typically use 4 to 5 cameras on Let's Make It if my co-host is with me, because he's on Skype, and then I have I forget what they call it. There's a name for it. There's this TV screen next to me. And then I have an overhead camera, and I have a different shot with the TV screen. So that would actually be this shot right here, and move the TV in so that I can have him and I together in a shot. Although I'm getting ready to do some maybe double box stuff. I just don't have it all set up yet. But anyways, I use the buttons a lot more to that show, and I do tend to lose my finger placement a little bit. So this little piece of gaff tape that I have, I kind of know where certain things are by feeling it. I just keep my fingers in that area. So so that was the physical switcher I've been talking about, and the hardware and the software switcher. Now, if you have the money and you want to buy something like a TriCaster, which is very nice, you can pretty much do it all in one physical box. There is software that can do it, but then you got to have the PC that has the right cards in it, and I'm running all SDI in here for all my cameras because the length is so long. So I'll have to buy SDI cards to go into a PC. And by the time I do that, I've already bought more than what I have now, and it's working fine for me. So, and also I do take sometimes the Blackmagic stuff out of here and use it off site, where if I had a PC carrying around, it'd be a little bit more difficult. So it's just nice to be able to have the physical switcher. I'm definitely a physical switcher kind of guy. But all right, so let's see, what else do we need to talk about today? Well, let's do this. First of all, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's TechZenTV, and our hashtag for this show is New Media Tech. So it's # New Media Tech, or if you call it the number sign, whatever you call it, pound, we always call it a pound. New Media Tech. So you can follow us by following that hashtag. And if you tweet about us, definitely use that, because we're watching for that hashtag, and then we will more likely respond back to you. So secondly, you can get all the show notes or any of our past episodes, whatever, by going to newmediatech.tv. You can also just go to tech-zen.tv, but then you got to find us. You got to go to shows and find New Media Tech. Or if you just go to the New Media Tech TV, you go right to the show page. And lastly, all of our videos now are on one YouTube channel at youtube.com/techzentv. This show and all of our other shows, and we have a couple of new shows we're working on. I'm actually a little bit behind on those because I've been working so hard on this other physical switcher. I'm spending a lot of time designing some boards, getting them ordered, things like that. So when that slows down a little bit, maybe we'll catch back up. However, I do want to put a plug out there. I'm looking for some hosts for a couple of shows. I don't want to host them. I want, so they're not really in my interest. One of them is a fantasy sports show. So if you are into fantasy sports, let me know if you'd be interested in doing a podcast. I'm looking for the actual hosts for the show. It's a show that I personally will not be a host on, but I will be behind the scenes, probably switching and doing other things, but I will not be in front of the camera. And the other one is just a college sports show. So if you're into college sports, and I'm not talking about I have a favorite team type of person. If you follow a lot of different teams, and more than just hurrah Maryland or whatever, and I know a couple people that do, and they weren't interested in doing a show. But if you know somebody, or you yourself are very interested in college and follow college sports, I'm talking basketball, football, all college sports, let me know, because we're trying to get a college sports show together as well. So I do have one host for that show already, but I'd like to have one or two more if you would be interested in that. So definitely, it's like a little plug. The football season and the fantasy football season and college sports season is fast approaching. So I'm trying to get all this set up now. So if you're interested, definitely let me know. And I have a couple other shows, technology shows, that will come up in Tech Zen TV. Lixa TV is coming along nicely. All the shows are out there. We got all the feeds set up now. We're working on the front page of the site. I don't know how far he got today, what he's working on today. At my request, I asked him to put some time into that. So hopefully that comes up very soon as well. But the site itself is up, with the exception of the front page, where we're trying to do a different kind of design, and we were running into some problems with it. So that's all coming up. And these two new shows will only be on Lixa TV. They will not be TechZen TV shows. They will be Lixa TV shows. So the two tech shows that are coming up, we're going to try something a little different with one of them, something that I've never seen anybody do before. Actually, both of them are going to be a little different because there's so much technology, just so many technology shows out there where you're not going to stand out. So we're trying to figure out something we can do that's different. And for each show, we think we have some things that are unique to the show. So hopefully it's enough to kind of make us stand out a little bit, because there are a ton of tech news shows. The one will cover tech news, but that won't be its primary purpose. It'll do a bunch of other things. And the other one, we're kind of like, I want to say it's kind of crowdsourced. So we're going to try something a little bit different with that as well. And that's kind of what's been a little bit of the delay with those. Plus, like I said, I've been spending literally 3 to 4 hours a day working on this switching stuff because I want to get it all, buttoned up. And that's just taking a little bit of my time. All right. So let's see. Let's talk a little about social media. So, this show is a new media tech show, but a lot of it revolves around social media. So how are you promoting yourself? Well, one of the problems I have with it is time. I don't have a lot of time sometimes to sit there and post on social media. And that is a bad thing for at least for TechZen TV, because we do so much better when we do put out there. Now, I do have some automated things, when new shows come out, but I'm not sitting there putting things out there a lot during the day, especially here recently with as much stuff that I have gotten going on. So, I do have 2 people that work for me, and one of them, unfortunately, she's almost 13 hours difference than me. So she's an outsourcer from another country. A country that speaks very good English, by the way, and she just has a hard time working on my time schedule. So, but she's starting to do some social media stuff for me, and using a service that you can schedule things ahead of time. So that's kind of how I'm trying to get around the always on social media thing, because I have so many things going on at once. I mean, I do run a studio that's an active studio for both sound and for video, and we do video production. So between that and doing designs for things like the switcher and other side projects for other people, it just keeps me busy. And I generally am not focused on what's going on in my social media right now. So that's something I need to work on. But for right now, I'm trying to get somebody else to help me keep up with that. So I guess the question is, how do you keep with social media? I'd like to hear from you. Like, send an email to us at newmediatech@tech-zen.tv, or you can use Twitter and just make sure you use the hashtag #NewMediaTech and try to trick up a conversation about how do you stay involved day to day in your social media. I have a Facebook account, but I do not spend a lot of time on Facebook. If I do, I typically, on my way to bed, I may bring up the Facebook app on my phone. I very rarely go into Facebook on the web. I mean, actually using a web browser on my computer. Very, very rarely. I actually use Google Plus a lot more than I do Facebook, just because Facebook has so much, to me, it's garbage. Things that are flying by, advertisements, people forwarding me advertisements, where they do it or Facebook's doing, I don't really know. But it's just a lot of junk that I got to weed through. Where in Google Plus, they seem like they do a better job at weeding out. Maybe it's just not as popular, but either way, also like Google Plus's pictures a lot better. The way they do their photos, they do some really cool things with photos in Google Plus. But I spend more time on Google Plus than I do in Facebook. Although if you send something in Facebook, I will respond. Might not be really fast at responding, but I will get back to you. So again, I kind of want to hear how everybody else is dealing with the amount of work it takes to keep up with social media for your show. Any tricks? I'd like to have some tricks for doing that as well. And what are you doing to keep up? Do you put down something in your calendar every day you tweet about something, or do you put something in your calendar to spend 15 minutes in social media? You block out a little bit of time every day. There has to be people out there that have figured out the pattern. And I mean, I just don't know what it is. I haven't mastered that part of it yet. And a lot of it could just be that I'm so focused during the day on projects that I just completely zone out of the social side of things. But that, in the long run, could be a detriment to the whole, to this show or Tech-Zen TV. Now, this show has been catching on more and more a week, and I definitely appreciate that. It's growing a lot faster since we went to a single YouTube channel. I'm amazed at how much difference that makes for cross-promotion between different shows. That's actually... I'm totally surprised by that. I mean, I would have thought people would like just to be in one channel, but it makes sense that they don't know about all of our other shows. So, all right. So I mentioned in the past about different ways of making money. So, let's see, do I have stuff here somewhere? I have a couple things here. So we started in our Let's Make It show. We started making these shields for Arduinos, and we have right now a little over a dozen of them, and we started selling these online. Now we're redoing a store. We're actually going to put the store on our own website, and we're in that process right now. I'm moving everything back to that, but we'll be able to sell the parts and everything off of the Tech-Zen TV's website versus going to like Amazon to try to sell it to somebody. Although we're probably going to continue to sell it on Amazon and eBay as well. But we're trying to get our own store set up. So it's kind of like a cross promotion. So in the process of trying to monetize the Let's Make It show, we are going to promote some of our own things that we've designed that we can make money on as far as profit goes for those things. And we are designing more and more of them. In fact, I got at least 4 more coming that are designed too. So that's also the other thing that's taking up a lot of my time, is getting these designs. Now I'm kind of caught up on most of that stuff. So now I'm pretty much working on the switcher only. So and then when the switcher, the last couple of designs for the switcher are ready, I just got to start physically putting it together, and then I'll be back to my normal schedule. However, there is the possibility we're going to start selling the switcher as well to people that are like me, who have some kind of hybrid system. And I'll give you an example. Wirecast doesn't really have nobody making a physical switcher for it yet. So if we can get that to work reliably, that's something we can offer to the community on this show, as well as other internet broadcasters that even aren't on this show. So that's another way of potentially doing some income. So we're looking at all these different options. I really prefer not to advertise or do paid ads on the show if I wouldn't have to make money with the show. I would rather do things like this where we provide a service to you, to our viewers and listeners, that is beneficial to you and beneficial to us, versus just an advertiser who takes up your time. I mean, not to say I love advertisers, but it's beneficial to them and to us, but not always to you. So if we can do a show without advertising and still make money on it, that would be always my preference for you, because it's more, it takes your time and doesn't waste your time as much with advertising. Although I would be very selective about the advertiser that I picked anyways, to make sure that it went with the show that we're talking about, so it'd be relevant. I would be very picky about that. So if you're you're typically a techie type person. If you're watching the show, or you're a very subject matter specific person, like you have a particular hobby and you have a passion for that hobby, so you may not be necessarily technical, but I would make sure that the ad would fit to something like you're doing. Like, I'll give you an example. Carbonite would be a backup solution. Well, everybody needs backup, especially if you're recording your audio or your video stuff to put out there to the world. You want a backup of that on all your notes. If you're selling something, you need backup. So I may put a Carbonite type ad on a show like this. So I'll be very specific. I would not be putting a Hanes underwear ad on, for example, on a show like this, because it was nothing to do with this show. But if I can keep going forward with these shows and bringing in money through selling products that are beneficial to you, that'd be how it might be my preference to do it. So we've always talked about the passive income and not so passive income, things like that in the past, and that's kind of where that goes. The Let's Make It show definitely is funding itself now via these shields and parts that are out there. All right, so I've had a question about radio. So there's a couple different ways of doing streaming radio. There's an older way and there's newer ways. I would think still the most common is probably a Shoutcast server. So if you would go look up Shoutcast, you can basically rent a server from somewhere on a monthly basis, and you can take your audio and you send it to them. I'm not sure what you use on a Mac to do that, but you can do that on a PC real easy with a couple of different pieces of software. The most popular probably being Winamp. So, all right. Let's see what other questions that I have come in. Okay, well, there's a couple questions about free tools to keep you organized. I mentioned in the past, but we use Google Docs. But I'm going to try to cover that in another episode coming up in the future. So if that was your question, I don't have the name of who it was. Sorry about that. I will cover that in a future episode, because there's a couple other tools that we use that I want to walk through. One's called Podio, whatever you want to say it, Podio, and it's free for the most part. You can get an upgraded version of it, just like you can get upgraded versions of Google Docs as well. But we're going to walk through and we'll show you kind of how we use it, because we do that with the workflow for after the show is over. And we're also using that for project management for the web designer. He gets his project management stuff out of Podio. Our other outsourcer, she gets hers out of Podio as well. She has the things she knows she has to do every day. We can give her tasks, and when a show's over, she just updates it out there saying, "This is what I did." So we've also some automation in there. We'll walk through all these different but the free tools for tracking. And let's see. I did have a question about the social. I mentioned this before, and I'm actually going to draw this out on the sheet of paper for a show. Maybe I'll try to do this for next show as well, is the social automation. So I mentioned before, I do a lot of social stuff, but it's all automated. And using a lot of IFTTT, or if this then that, if you know from that, it's ifttt.com. I do a lot of automation. So when the video is ready and it's on YouTube, it just automatically goes out socially. When it's on the website, it goes out socially. So everything's kind of automated. And I'm going to walk through, I'm going to draw it out in a flowchart and explain how we do that, because it's actually a very good thing. It's typically within 2 hours of us putting that up there, our view count goes way up, and we can actually see our website increase traffic. In YouTube, some of our shows are getting between 12 and 16,000 a week, and some of them are only getting less than 1,000. And if you look at our website, when we put out that social stuff, in that day we'll have a spike. If you go to Google Analytics, and you'll see the spike just go up, and it'll stay up there for a next day and a half and start slowly coming back down again for that one particular page that we put out there. I'm guessing that of the shows that do between 12 and 16,000, at least 80% or more are probably done from our website, because we actually encode YouTube on our website to view it. So when they come to our website to look at a show, that's where the view count comes from. Now, I'm not quite sure. I've been trying to get this answer of how long does somebody have to watch the video before it becomes viewed, because I'd like to know that myself, because I can't think that many people are sitting there watching the entire video. Do they got to watch 5 minutes of it? Do they got to watch half of it? I don't know the answer to that, and that's a question I'd like to have the answer to, just for my own knowledge, because I don't know how long they're sitting there and watching the video before it counts. So, alrighty, let's see. So, something else, becoming interactive. And we covered this before. We have a new Google Plus area where it's kind of like the Facebook groups, but it's inside of Google Plus, and I actually like it a lot better. And we call it our community. So if you go to our website, it's tech-zen.tv, and the very top is the button that says community. It'll take you to our Google Plus group, and you can interact. And now we're trying to get that started up. It's a very slow starting process, though. So trying to figure out how to get people engaged. We always had this problem, and I still have this problem. Like tonight, there's one other person in the chat room other than me, but they haven't asked anything or done anything. So they're just kind of hanging out. But I'd like to be able to get people in the chat room to chat with us, interact with us. But it just seems like it never happens for this show. Let's make it occasionally has more people in it than that. So we're trying to figure out why, because I don't know the reason why it's hard to get people to watch live. We get that many views, why don't people come in and watch live? So hopefully we can get that answer soon. But we're trying to get this community built up, and we're having the same problem there where people just don't want to go in and communicate. Now, I don't know if it's the type of show, our audience, if it's the wrong time. I've gotten just very few answers back as far as timing goes. What's the best time for you to watch? If you could watch live, when could you do it? What would be the best time for you? I've gotten a couple back, but I really want a lot more than what I'm getting. So I don't want to change the showtime based on one or two people. I'd rather have a little bit more of a consensus. So if you have not sent me an email said what is the best time for you to watch live, please do so. Just send an email to this is New Media Tech, to newmediatech@tech-zen.tv, and let me know what is the best time. If you could come join live, what would be the best time for you to do it? And just make sure you let me know what time it is where you are and where you are. Otherwise, it doesn't help me because it could be anywhere in the world. So that definitely will help us out in plan this a little bit better. So that's kind of all I want to cover for this week. It's not a lot, and hopefully get a little bit more for next week. I am very focused on trying to get my hardware done so that I can get back to focusing on the better content for this show. And if you have questions, definitely please send them to newmediatech@tech-zen.tv, or you can go to the newmediatech.tv page, and you can click on the contact, and it'll have all the information there to contact us as well. And our YouTube channel is youtube.com/techzentv. If you haven't gone and subscribed, please do. That helps us out a lot. People don't understand that subscribing, how much it helps us, especially it's only 100 now. I talked about this like last week. YouTube's now only 100 subscribers to go YouTube Live, but it helps us to grow in other ways, helps us get found. So the channels that are active, YouTube will help promote them a little bit better and pull them to the top. And if you're on Twitter, follow us at TechZenTV. And if you tweet about us, make sure you include the hashtag NewMediaTech. All right, everybody, that's it for this week. We'll see you next Monday. For show notes for this show, contacts, and more, go to the techzen.tv website where you can get show notes for all of our shows. We love to hear from our viewers and listeners. We have an email, a Twitter, and a phone number where you can contact us for each show. For details, visit the techzen.tv website and get the show details. You can also make a video and upload it somewhere like YouTube or Vimeo and then just send us a link. You never know, you may see your video in a future show. You can get all of our shows delivered automatically to your favorite device by going to your favorite podcast website like iTunes and subscribing. Each of our shows also has a YouTube channel you can subscribe to get regular updates. Our shows are also available on most internet radio networks like Stitcher and TuneIn Radio. You can also watch and listen to our shows on Xbox, TiVo, and Roku. You can even find us on your Zune.